how might this work with young children? Yeah, so you can start this work early. This is linked to perfectionism is on the rise, first of all, with young people. I didn't get into all the different aspects of perfectionism, but the rise of perfectionism in particular is, that's on the rise, is the idea that other people have high expectations for us. So that is what's on the rise. Let me just get the term for you. Socially oriented, right? Socially oriented perfectionism is on the rise. That's when we believe other people have really high expectations for ourselves. It has a disastrous effect on young children. From the earliest clinical diagnosis is like age 7. So it can really start early. And so one of the tips that I can give you around perfectionism and imposter syndrome with children is start early and start often with destigmatizing failure. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we talk often about mistakes, and I share all of Mummy's mistakes. And the first time I did that, I think she was like kind of shocked, like, oh my gosh, Mummy, you made this mistake? And I said, yes. And then this is what I learned. And so I talk about that all the time. It's a regular daily occurrence. When she goes to school and she comes back, I say, oh my gosh, what did you mess up on at school today? And at first she was like, nothing. Did the teacher call you or something? And I'm like, no, mistakes are awesome because it means you're learning and you're growing your brain when you work on difficult things. So tell me, what did you struggle with? And then we break that down. So we talk often about developing a growth mindset with children. So there's a big difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. Fixed mindset with kids is the belief that the talent and being a natural at something is the only way to go. So that's when they think the ease and the speed with things is the way to perform, versus recognizing that hard work and struggling with difficult things is normal. So yeah, I could talk for a long time about that. So destigmatizing failure, talking to them often about that, and then learning a little bit about the differences between growth mindset and fixed mindset. Okay, what are some new questions? If I catch myself in an imposter moment while in the middle of a busy day, what is the best practice to help quickly refocus and pull myself out of an overwhelmed imposter spiral, if that makes sense? That totally makes sense. So that is going back to the self-compassion, where we recognize mindfulness. So that is recognizing in that moment that things are difficult. So it's coming up with a line or a phrase that makes sense for you. And this phrase is different for everybody. So it could be something as simple as, this is really difficult. I am feeling overwhelmed. This is an overwhelming moment. And just letting that sink, just breathing in that moment and acknowledging the feelings that this is difficult. Feeling overwhelmed is normal. You could say that. Feeling like I'm spread too thin is a normal feeling. Now, I swear quite a bit. So my phrase would include like an F-bomb in there. So I often would say to myself, Maja, you are not going to shit on yourself today, okay? I am not going to do that. No negative self-talk. And I just say that to like snap myself out of it in that moment. So again, you got to use a phrase that works with you. There's a lot of different phrases you can say in that moment. So a lot of the research around self-compassion shows that there is a lot of benefit to immediate touch. So what that means is, do you have a part of your body that you can touch that it would be immediately calming? So for some people, it's holding the hands. For some people, it's a hand on the heart. For some people, it's a hand on the heart, a hand on the stomach. Others, it's both hands clenched. Some people, it's a hug. Some people, it's just one hand on themselves. So again, you have to find out what works. I wasn't actually aware of that and what I was doing for myself until I attended a training by Dr. Kristen Neff, who is the leading researcher on self-compassion. And I realized that in moments of stress, I actually touch my collarbone. It's not a common thing, but I actually do that. And for whatever reason, it just kind of brings me down in that moment. I take a breath, and then I tell myself that this moment of whatever I'm feeling shall pass. All right, let's see what else I can answer for you.
We had another comment from the audience or question. How can you tell if an employee is dealing with the imposter syndrome?
Oh, you'll be able to tell because you can't compliment them ever. Every time you compliment them, they will deflect it, they will minimize, they will attribute it to good luck or other people, or it was the team effort. So you have to be able to call in your employee. So don't call them out publicly because that can be a very fraught situation. So you want to call them in. So pull them in to the hallway of the office or go for tea and just say, I noticed that you never accept compliments. You're always minimizing all your hard work. I sometimes see that you take constructive feedback very personally or that you ruminate over your mistakes. I think you're awesome. The company believes in you. Let's work together. Send her for a training. Have her watch, listen to a podcast or watch a TED Talk or read something on that. Just acknowledge to them that this is a common experience regardless of age or income or education. We all experience it at some point. And what are we going to do to move through it?
We do have another question
Sure.
from the audience. Downplaying compliments or passing them on to others is a knee-jerk reaction. Do you have any tips to change this without making things all about me?
So that's the immediate fear, is that if we are not, and we're going to discuss this in greater detail in the other talk that I'm giving, because I go into more information around the data around how women handle compliments and praise. So in a nutshell, we have been communicating in this way for a very long time. Many of us have been communicating in this way for decades, years. So in order to make that switch, it doesn't happen overnight, okay? So we have to recognize that habit formation takes time. On average, about 66 days to change a bad habit into a new one. So recognizing in that moment that the best thing to say is thank you, and then just zip it. How often, just bring awareness to what are your immediate reactions when somebody compliments you, either on your appearance or on a job well done at work. So just do that, step one. Just recognize what's your common go-to response, okay? Then the next thing is, let's switch out one of those just 10% of the time. We're not aiming for every single time you get complimented to make this switch. Just 10% of the time, can you say thank you? And then just leave it. Thank you. I appreciate that you noticed that. Thank you. I worked really hard on that. Thank you. And resist the urge to minimize, deflect, use self-deprecating humor, or attribute it to everyone else but you. Just 10% of the time. And then we work up to 20. It's also very beneficial if you have other people in your life that you can call on to say, hey, this is something that I'm consciously trying to get better at. Help me out. When you hear me deflecting, please let me know. Bring my attention to it. And then slowly over time, you can make a change. That's what the research is showing, that you can make a switch. You can switch out apologetic lingo. You can switch out imposter feeling mindsets for something more confidence inducing. It is possible. It's totally possible. It takes time. That's all.
Okay, we have time for just one last question, and thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule. This audience member says, I need to quit making it okay when men overlook me for a promotion. We didn't pick you because, but you were doing great at your job. Why do I always back down and make this okay when I know I should have gotten the promotion? It's a great question.
Okay, well, I think part of the reason she didn't get the promotion was because of sexism. We can do a whole workshop on that and the ways that unconscious gender bias harm women in the workforce. So we also know that oftentimes when women stand up for themselves at work, they face negative repercussions. When a woman presents as confident, she is often misperceived as cocky. So in this instance, It's going up to your immediate boss, and hopefully you have a good working relationship, and saying, this is, these are all the criteria that I have for this promotion. And I'm just wondering, what was I missing? And look for very specific feedback. I'll give you just a quick study out of McKinsey and the Lean In organization. And they looked at feedback for men and women who are working up the corporate ladder, trying to get into those C-suite positions. And when men get feedback around why they didn't do something well or why they didn't get the promotion, they go into their meeting with their boss and they are told, you didn't do this well, you dropped the ball here, you need to get 10 new clients, you need to raise profits, do this, and then you can get the promotion. Okay, great. That's very specific, immediate, timely feedback that I can use to better myself. Amazing. Now, what do the women get when they go in for their meeting? Male bosses, and sometimes women bosses themselves, feel that women can't handle constructive feedback. So they're more likely to say, you are doing amazing. We are so happy with you at work. Oh, you're doing so great here. And, maybe if you can just work a little harder in this area, you're doing great. Keep it up. So the woman walks out of the office going, I think I'm a key employee here. I think they love me, with no key specific indicators on what she needs to work on, because they think women can't handle constructive feedback. And the males are getting this amazing, very specific feedback, which they go and do, and then go back up for another follow-up meeting saying, okay, you told me to do X, Y, and Z. I did it. When can I apply for this promotion? It's sad. But some of the data, honestly, is so depressing. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Thank you so much. We can't wait to see you again at our virtual conference, starting October 20th and ending on October 23rd. On behalf of WIFS, we really appreciate your time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, bye, everybody.